social media has been the top lead source for providing high quality leads over the past few years. Now, you and I both know that you're too busy, right? There's only but so much time in a week, and social media already takes up too much of it. Or does it? See, in this video, I'm going to walk you through how I'm going to be posting over 340 pieces of content per month with less than an hour per week worth of work. Right, I'm going to walk you through how you can stay top of mind in 2026. How do you live rent-free in the minds of your clients, future clients, past clients, current clients. I'm going to walk you through how to become omnipresent so that when it's time to buy, sell, invest in real estate, you are the only person that people think about. Now, quick disclaimer. If you don't have an hour to week at least to spare for social media, you don't have a time problem. You have a prioritization problem. See, one fundamental truth in life that I've learned is that people make time for the things they want to make time for. So if you don't have any time for social media, this video is not going to convince you otherwise. And so with that being said, let's get into the good stuff, right? So why I started creating content. So for those of you who don't know me, about 4 years ago, I got asked to teach a class on social media, right? This class, at the time, I was a licensed real estate agent, still technically am a licensed realtor, but during this time, I was just focusing on actively teaching real estate. And I got asked to teach a class by a co-host of a real estate mastermind group that I was a part of. My first class ever had over 440 agents sign up for it. And then that kind of kickstarted this whole teaching journey. Well, then leading up to my second class, I was wondering, I would be such a fraud if I'm sitting here teaching classes on social media and I have yet to actually take social media serious. And this again, 4 years ago. So I started recording a bunch of videos in preparation for that class so that I could not just talk about things that I've seen on YouTube or things that I've heard in other classes, but actually start to share some stuff from my own experience. I wanted to walk the walk, right? I wanted to talk the talk, not just look good and teach class. I wanted to actually do the things that I was teaching about. And so that's why I started creating content. Now, on the personal side, even before I got into real estate, I had the idea of starting a podcast. A buddy of mine was like, yo, bro, John, we should start a podcast. We always were talking about life and goals and things we wanted to accomplish. And so I started a podcast shortly after getting my real estate license. The podcast has nothing to do with real estate or AI or marketing, what I talk about now. It's always a personal project, but now we have over 300 episodes that have listeners all over the world. We're ranked top 2.5% globally, and we're doing about an episode a week now. Sometimes I ramp it up to 2 or 3. It just really depends on how I'm feeling. It's a purpose project of mine. But I say all that to say, I've been creating a lot of content over the past couple years. Now, why did I decide to go all in on YouTube? So as I was starting to create some more content, right, I started to realize that YouTube has the highest intent of listeners, right? Most of the times when you go on YouTube, right, we hear that oh, you got to go all in on short form content, or oh, you have to realize that people have shorter attention spans. And I realized that is a complete load of BS. YouTube is the second most visited website in the planet, and it's owned by the first most visited website, which is Google. And so I was like, if I want to position myself as an expert, right, there's no other platform to go all in on than YouTube, because while everyone is trying to go on this short form bandwagon, right, I'm going down the road less traveled by on YouTube. It's the second most visited website. It's a search engine. People are going on YouTube to literally look up solutions to problems that they have. And on top of that, YouTube videos last, unless they get taken down, pretty much forever. They're evergreen, right? So you can make a video on how to fix a tire in 2020, and 20 years from now, we're probably still going to be fixing tires the same exact way. Maybe some things here and there would change, but you can have a video that pretty much lives longer than your career, right? So that's why I decided to go all in on YouTube. And this year, I was around September, I started watching two guys. I haven't worked with them personally, but they're like online mentors to me. First of which was Myron Golden. The second of which was Graham Cochran. I started watching their YouTube videos and listening to their podcasts, and I started to pay close attention to the strategy that they were using when it came to content creation. And I started to pick up on two things, right? First of which is each of them picked a time once a week and consistently over the past few years have just shown up over and over and over again at that same exact time and that same exact day. And then the second thing I noticed is that they weren't just uploading videos at that same exact time and day, but they were live streaming. And I never really thought about live streaming as a viable option for content creation. But then I started to think like, yo, if you go all in on live streaming, it makes social media and content creation so much easier because you don't even have to worry about editing. Right? Normally when you have to script the video, you have to record the video, then you have to edit the video, and then you have to post the video. But if you're going live, like what I'm doing right now, whatever gets onto the platform is what people see, right? So you don't have to worry about really anything post-production, because when you're live streaming, again, there's no editing when you're live. Whatever you get, you get. And then two, it's live on the platform. So you don't have to worry about posting. So it literally cuts down your content creation workflow in half. It removes two entire steps of the process. And so I was like, all right, in 2026, what I want to do is I'm just going to commit to one time a week, every week, and then I'm going to live stream videos. So I have a membership community. We meet on Mondays. And I was just like, you know what? I'm going to just live stream those calls directly to YouTube and all the other platforms, whatever. And then after I'm done with my video, then I'll stop my live stream and then I'll have an exclusive Q&A for the people that are actually in my community. For example, one of my people here, Susie, is watching me live from my membership community. And so live streaming, again, it's just it's a way better strategy, especially if you are quote unquote busy, if you are, social media is taking up too much time. You can literally save half the time, if not more, when you just go all in on live streaming. And again, most other realtors aren't going to do this, right? Why? Because they're being taught in all their KW classes and all their, brokerage classes to go all in on TikTok, and you got to go viral, and you got to, make short form content, and all they're trying to do is like dance in front of open houses. That is cool, and that's a whole nother path that I'll get into like on a separate video on another day. But when you take the road less traveled by, you're going to get less and less resistance, and you're going to find less and less competitors. And so for 2026, I'm going to be going all in on live streaming, and I'll get into deeper which platforms and how it all going to work in just a little bit. But the last thing I want to talk about before we get into my actual strategy is the importance of having a content hub. So my strategy, my hub is live streaming. So what do I mean by content hub? When you think of a content hub, like you have your core piece of content, and then based off of that piece of content, everything else comes from it, right? So my content hub consists of YouTube, live streaming on YouTube, right? And then from that live stream video, I'm gonna create clips, I'm gonna create a newsletter, I'm gonna create a blog, I'm gonna create other video. Like I'm gonna do everything, but each week I'm not creating newsletters, blogs, clips, videos, live streams. No, I just have one thing that I'm doing each week. One long form piece of content, and then I'm taking that and I'm turning that into all my other pieces of content, right? So I'm not creating more content, I'm creating one piece of content and creating more from it. So if you want to create your content hub, think about like, what do you like doing more? I like talking, I like teaching, so video comes naturally to me, right? So my content hub, really the core of it is a long form YouTube video or a long form live stream that I'm gonna be doing once a week, every single week. If you like writing, you can do one long form article, right? Talking about maybe the market, talking about things to do in your city, talking about best restaurant, like whatever they may be, or may have separate sections, But what is that long form written piece of content? It could be a blog, it could be a newsletter, whatever, right? And then let's say you want to do audio, it could be a podcast or like a radio show. And what you're talking about in those pieces of content, it's all going to be the same thing. It's just which medium do you more naturally gravitate towards, right? So if you were to do a long form written piece of content, so let's say every Monday at 9 a.m. you send out a weekly newsletter, right? That's what you want to commit to. That weekly newsletter you write, let's say every Sunday night before Monday, and then that newsletter then becomes your script for a YouTube video, which then becomes little scripts. You could take segments of it and use those as clips for your social media content. You can, have AI or something like pretty much turns the words into, and you can do like an AI generated podcast by taking the transcription and transforming it into audio, right? Let's say you want to do a podcast. Well, you can record a weekly podcast, and then you could take that podcast and then you could send it out to people, right? But whatever channel you want to focus on, it could be YouTube, it could be whatever. It could be a long form audio, long form video, or long form written. You take that one piece of content and then you try to maximize it as many different ways on you can. So with that being said, make sure before we go into my strategy, make sure you figure out for yourself what's going to be like your content hub. Again, mine is long form video. So either pick a long form video, long form audio, or long form written, and then from there you can turn that one piece of content into other stuff. So with that being said, now that we have all the the prerequisites out of the way, I want to go over my specific strategy that I'm going to be using for social media to stay top of mind in 2026, and it's going to be generating me over 340 pieces of content. Now, just a quick disclaimer, right now it's just me in a video editor. So if you don't have a video editor, this might not take work. It might just take a little bit more effort on your part, but it is very doable, again, with less than an hour per week worth of work. So here is my exact content strategy. So every Monday at 12 p.m., I'm going to do a weekly live stream session, right? Every Monday at 12 p.m., like clockwork, I'm going to go live. Once I go live, this live will go anywhere from, let's say on the short end, if I have a quick topic for that week, maybe 15 minutes. On the longer end, sometimes I like to ramble. I can go for 45 minutes, maybe an hour, maybe depending on what the topic is. But each week I'm gonna prepare a topic to talk about at length, right? From there, Tuesdays at 9 a.m., I'm going to take the link to that live stream recording, right? Because it's going to be on my YouTube channel, right? I'm going to send out a weekly newsletter pushing people back to that video, right? I'm going to send out a weekly newsletter. Again, I'm not going to write a whole bunch of stuff. It's pretty much going to say, hey, here's what I talked about this week. If you want to go see it, go click here to go watch it, right? After I make the newsletter, I'm just going to copy and paste that same exact newsletter that was an email. Then I'm going to turn that into a blog, right? A newsletter and a blog are pretty much the same exact thing. One goes out to your email list, one gets uploaded on your website. But it's pretty much written and formatted almost the same exact way. There's like little minor differences, and someone that's like a blogging expert may say otherwise. But for the most part, again, I don't want to overcomplicate it. I'm just going to copy and paste my newsletter. Now that's a blog post again, and the blog is pushing people back to watch the replay. Right. From there, I'm recording a video right now. The audio of this video that I'm recording is then going to be turned into a podcast, right? All I have to do for a podcast, and you don't even need to do this, but I'm gonna just record a little 30-second intro and outro, slap it on the beginning and the end, right? And then from there, that then is gonna be my weekly podcast, right? So far, just from my one weekly video, Monday at 12, I now transformed that into 3 pieces of content. I got a newsletter, I have a blog, and then I have a podcast, right? And then the last thing I'm gonna do is daily, the goal is to post 2 to 3 times per day of short form clips, right? 2 to 3 times per day. I'm going to be sending out short form clips to all the different platforms. How am I going to do that? Well, I'm going to take the weekly live stream, and then the platform I use to record my videos is Riverside, and it uses AI to pretty much add all the clips and put the captions on for me. So again, even if you don't have a video editor, it'll take a little bit more steps, but you can use the tool I'm using, Riverside, and then Riverside will create the clips for you, add the captions on you. Now let me break down how on earth did I get 340 pieces of content from this one weekly live stream, right? So the live stream, I'm going to be live streaming to LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube, right? And eventually, right now, I'm at like 870 followers on TikTok. I think I need to get to 1,000. Once I get to 1,000, right, then I'll be able to live stream on TikTok if I'm not mistaken. But one weekly live stream to LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok, that technically counts as 4 posts right there. So we went from 0, now we're at 4, just off one weekly live stream. From there, my live stream gets converted into a newsletter. I'm sending out that weekly via email, right? So now we had 5 content pieces per week. My blog gets posted on my website. Now we're at 6. The podcast gets posted on Apple and Spotify. Right, now that's 8 pieces of content per week just from the one weekly live stream. Already at 8. Here's where it starts to get crazy, right? If I post 3 times per week on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube Shorts, 3 times per day, that's 9 pieces of content per day. 9 times 7, if I'm not mistaken, is 9 times 9 is 81, 9 times 8 is 72, 9 times 7 is 63. So 63 plus the 8 pieces of content comes out to 71 pieces of content per week just from one weekly live stream. Now, for anyone that's wondering, how on earth I'm going to post that many clips? If you talk from anywhere from 30 to 60 minutes, you could easily, right, you can easily get 20 clips from that one live stream, right? You can just, again, use a tool like Riverside. It'll clip it for you, and you can put on the caption and post it. You don't even need to put on caption. You can just post the clips directly, right? But then how do I get from 71, right? The next thing I'm going to do, which I didn't mention earlier, is I'm going to post a daily podcast exclusively to the people in my membership community, right? Exclusively. And in this daily podcast, it's just going to be a quick 2 to 5 minute, maybe even short, 2 to 4 minute, like quick little actionable action item every single day. No editing, raw, straight into my phone and straight into my community members only, right? And so if I do that once a day, that's 7 times a week on Apple and Spotify, that's 14. So that's 71 pieces of content plus the 14. Now we're at 85 pieces of content per week across 9 different platforms. Add that up over the course of 4 weeks, we're at 350-ish or well over 350 pieces of content from just doing one long form piece of content per week. Now, there's a rule that I learned, shout out to Myron Golden. It's called the 7-11-4 rule. This rule pretty much states that if you want to take someone from a stranger to a buyer online, right, they have to watch 7 hours worth of content across 11 different touch points across 4 different platforms, right? So my whole goal with this strategy, 2 things. First of which is maximizing the most of my time, the most of my content. So how am I doing that? By repurposing. But 2, some people like to, do chores or go out for a drive. They probably don't have the time to sit and watch a video. Hey, no worries, I got a podcast for that, right? Or let's say they're just scrolling through Instagram or TikTok, wherever their favorite platform of choice. No worry, I'm on all 3 of those platforms, right? All those platforms. Again, and you're watching little tidbits. Let's say someone really likes to read. Well, no worries, I got a blog and a newsletter. So I heard this one saying is that we're taught, especially in real estate, that we have to go out and find people. We have to go out and prospect. And it's come to my realization that that is a load of BS. Because regardless of whether you have your license or not, regardless of whether you decide to retire right now after watching this video or not, there's going to be well over 1 million transactions done on market every single year pretty much, just about. Right? Now, when you include off-market deals, who knows, that may be double or even triple. Right? So regardless of whether you decide to stay in the business or not, there's going to be millions of transactions being done. And so the thing that I heard is, instead of trying to find more people, make yourself more findable to the people who are already actively in the market. If you make that one shift, it's going to transform how you look at social media. Social media is no longer going to look like a chore. It's no longer going to be a headache. It's no longer going to be something that, is something that is just a time suck and there's no real ROI from it. Once you realize that there's people that are already on the market looking for a resource, looking for a guide, looking for someone to help them with the problems they need help with, and you can just show up so that when they're looking, you're the person they find, that is going to help you take your business to the next level. And that's why I'm going to be going all in on content creation. I know a lot of people are struggling with social media. A lot of people struggle with AI, right? Regardless of whether I quit my job, my business right now and go get a job or not, people are still going to be looking for help with AI and social media. So instead of me trying to actively find everyone, I'm going to be going all in on creating content and making myself more findable across all the different platforms to the people who are already looking for someone like me to help them. So that is pretty much it for this video. If you enjoyed, make sure to, and if you want to get access to my exclusive Q&A that I'm about to do with my actual membership communities, there is a link down below. That is all for this YouTube video. There's going to be plenty more, so make sure you stay tuned for the next one. And for those of you in my community, I'll see you in the Q&A in a couple seconds.